Welcome to the NWR Virtual Resources Series. My name is Kerry Stevenson. Next up, we have Auteco Minerals. Now, their ASX code is AUT. They're a gold exploration company advancing the high-grade Pickle Crow Project, isn't it, Ray? Pickle Crow Project in Ontario, Canada. Ray Shorrocks, the chairman, is joining me today. If you would like to ask any questions, put it into the Q&A panel down the bottom there in Zoom. Ray, I'm looking forward to this. You know, I'm a gold nerd. So what's the update with Pickle Crow and your gold exploration?
Well, you and I are both in terms of gold nerds, and seriously, we are moving towards a very exciting period, in my view, for gold. But thank you, Kerry, and I'll move on. There's a lot to get through today. So this is what the camp looks like in spring. Just give you an idea of the landscape in which we operate and some of the infrastructure we have on the ground, and I'll take you through that infrastructure and some other things going forward. Here's the obligatory cautionary statement. I'll let you read that at your leisure. Here. So in summary, what I want you to take away today is that this Pickle Crow asset based in Ontario, Canada, was one of the best performing assets in Canada in its day. From 1935 to 1966, it produced 1.5 million ounces at a stunning 16.1 grams per tonne. Absolutely fabulous production. Really good throughputs, great recoveries, all those sorts of things. Now, it didn't stop in 66 due to a lack of mineralisation. It stopped in 66 because gold hit $35 an ounce. And there's no greater reason that you'd stop production when it's uneconomic. So that's what you've got to understand. But the takeaways for you today is we keep having new discoveries. And I want to take you through the new Carey discovery and the Tyson's discoveries that we announced. We're well underway with our 50,000 metre drill campaign. That's very exciting. So that's on top of the final 50,000 that we did back in September. So we were heading up to 100,000 metres of drilling in this particularly productive area. And then we've got regional drilling, which will commence this quarter. If you don't know, I'll take you through board management, highly experienced, very active, very proactive. I have a non-executive board of only 3, but they're very active in the company. Got a great balance sheet and no debt. This asset is the asset that keeps on giving, okay? This is absolutely fabulous. It's got a long history of gold production. We've got an existing inferred resource of 1.71 million ounces at 8.1 grams per tonne. Wow. That's got 2 components attached to it, which I'll take you through. And probably the most exciting thing for me is for every $15.25 I spend in the ground, I find an ounce of gold. That's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So then of course, we've got a great location. So Canada, practically speaking, is a great location. I'll take you through that. Prolific mineralised belt, really good neighbourhood, and advanced permitting underway. So let's have a little snapshot about what this company is all about. 3 takeaways. All you need to know from this slide is we have a market capitalisation of 129 million, got 21 in the bank. So it gives us an enterprise value of about 108 or whatever it is. And that in itself means that we're very undervalued. Board and management have real skin in the game here. I have bought shares initially, and I've bought them alongside shareholders on the market and in placements. We have a great institutional register as our 3rd takeaway. And I'm very pleased to say that we have over a quarter of our register institutionalised. And for such a young, small company, it's a real plus, I'm telling you. Here's the board. So myself, ex-founding chairman of Bellevue Gold, Steve Parsons and Mike Naylor, currently executive directors of Bellevue Gold. The 3 of us were instrumental in getting Bellevue up, which is now an $900 million company. I left in September 19, 2 years ago, in fact, to pursue what I think I'm better at, which is exploration. And I still have the sage advice of both Mike and Steve, very, very important. A really big get for us was Darren Cook, who came from Northern Star, and he has a great CV. He has brought a real laser-like focus to our strategy of extracting value out of this. We have Marcus Harden, who's our chief geologist, on the ground. Such as his desire that to make this thing work, he currently lives in Canada. So he's relocated from WA to Canada. So I'm very pleased that we have dedicated people here. And Nick Catras has been our CFO for quite some time. So why Canada? It's the jurisdiction, best you'll ever get. Practically speaking, for our point of view, we have permitting in place, but we've got more to do, but we know what we have to do to get there. We have 4 rigs turning, a 5th coming at the end of this month, and a 6th already booked for January. And these come with great crews. Drilling costs are around 130 to 140 drill meter. That is some of the best globally. I sometimes hesitate in telling people this because obviously they're going to go and use our drillers, but it's a fantastic area. And of course, we've got taxation incentives in Canada as well with their flow throughs. So that, practically speaking, is why it's a jurisdiction that's one that we'd like to be in. Great area also, prospectivity is high, and the relative valuations are really important to understand between Australia, and the arbitrage between Australia and Canada is quite, the gap is widening. It's quite interesting. And of course, on the Fraser Institute, for any of those that watch that, it is the second best jurisdiction outside of Australia, which is WA focused. So what is this asset? Where is it? Why did we pick it up? Well, we pick it up for location, infrastructure, access, tenure. So what we have here is it's a simple trip which goes Toronto, Thunder Bay, daily flights, Thunder Bay to Pickle Lake Airport, sealed roads for 10 minutes to site. It doesn't get any better than that. And you can see some of the aerial shots that I've got there. So going through, you can see where we placed on that Uchi subprovince belt, and you can see some of the landscape just there. Access is 365 days a year. Interestingly enough, for those that don't know, winter is the best time to drill because the earth firms up and it makes it easier for the drilling rigs. Tenure, we have almost 500 square kilometres of patented mining claims, and they're valid until 2067. And Kerry, I will not be around in 2067, just so someone else will be reaping the benefits. Yeah. It has infrastructure both underground and above ground. So the infrastructure underground, we have 3 main shafts, and I'll take you through that. Really interesting for those that want to know. Just remember shaft 1, shaft 3, and the Albany shaft, and 38 kilometres of lateral underground development. So in today's parlance, that's about $200 million. The resource, I've already taken you through that, but it's a hefty 1.7 million ounces at 8.1 grams per tonne. Surface, we have all of that stuff that you can see in that aerial shot, 24-person camp, 600 kilowatts of generation power. We got direct hydro power, so it's very green and clean. And then ownership, it is subject to the earning. We've currently got 70% of this asset. We can elect to go to 80. At our election, it's a 10% increase for 3 million Canadian. So it's very, very cheap. It was a great deal that we did in the first point. So here we are. There we go. So this is where we are, the Pickle Lake geological setting. Okay, so there is that tectonic element you've got there in that province of Ontario, and that Pickle Lake greenstone belt, which is so productive. And look at that neighbourhood in which we operate. So we have the Red Lake area, which is to our west, which is owned by Evolution, Musselwhite, which is owned by Newmont to the north, Springpole, our partner, which is to the northwest, Madison, which has just started production with pure gold, the Dixie project, which has yet to come out with a resource, but is a very close neighbour to ours and has a market cap of over $1 billion, and the West Red Lake. So that neighbourhood is to die for. Happy to be in that neighbourhood. And here, if we drill down even further, you can see that greenstone belt that we operate in, and it's very, very productive. So you can see true north, owned by 1911. Red Lake Evolution is there. The Dixie Project I mentioned, Madison, and the Pickle Crow is in yellow, you can see there. So really interesting area. So let's drill down even further. So this is a classic Archean gold system. You know, it's very similar to what you might see for those that know and are geologists in Western Australia. So we're very familiar with this particular deposit. Archean greenstone hosted by mesothermal gold, the host rocks, a mafic sequence, intermediate with selfic volcanics, really, really interesting. And so the structure and the metamorphism, all what we understand. That's what's so important. This is not foreign to us. When Darren Cook, who's our COO and chief geologist as well, see this, that's very familiar territory to them. So it's nothing that takes them by surprise. So the deposit itself, okay, that's what's really interesting. So you might remember this has always been historically a high-grade, narrow vein deposit. In our last big announcement, where we discovered that we also have the high-grade vein hosted, which is the mainstay of all the production we've had at the up to date, which has been this narrow, less than 3 meter quartz carbonate sulfides. But what we've also got is this, what we like to call alteration hosted ore body, which is bulk mining potential for us, right? So these are broader zones, greater than 20 meters, lower of course, but these are really interesting, lower grade, I should say, but really interesting. So you combine both of those, and I'll show you why that's so important. Really important. This is really
Ray,
going to take...
sorry to interrupt you, just briefly. How deep has your drilling been going so far? Is this close to surface, or what's the structure looking like?
Great question. So what you can see here is we've been concentrating on this upper 300 meter level, right? That's been the real focus, because what we want to do is get down to that 300 meter level and then drill further. You can see those turquoise, they're the drill collars that Auteco's drilled, and you can see all the others of what's been done in the past. And you can see the grades historically, what they've pulled out of here. So you can see their vein, the shaft 1, shaft 3, and the Albany shaft. And we've focused very much around that 300 meter level because it's cheaper. You'll send yourself broke if you want to start trying to build a resource at a kilometre. So we'll get down to that level and then we'll drill. But what you can see is that we've got 1.47 million ounces at a hefty 10.1 grams. That's the narrow vein quartz lodes. And then the BIF hosted lodes are 240,000 ounces at a fantastic 3.7. That is what's so cool here. So we've added just recently 70% to our resource, which means at the drill bit, it's $15.25 per ounce in just 10 months. So what does this all mean? So just have a look at this little video here. So you can see, I'll stop it here. So you can see shaft 1, shaft 3, and the Albany shaft. The Carey discovery is around the Albany shaft. The Tyson discovery is around the shaft 3. And the traditional production was around shaft 1. So you can see drill down to that 750 level, which is 228 meters below surface. And that will give us the opportunity to establish an underground drill position to infill that 1.5 million ounces at 10.1 grams per tonne. So that broad BIF alterated hosted resource, it may provide the platform to launch down even deeper. And that's where we'll drill, Kerry, down into those deeper areas, because it clearly there is resource down to 800 meters, as proven by our latest discovery with the Tyson project, Tyson discovery. So here it is. This is how we go about everything we do. Really instructive about how the guys have really strategically worked through how they're going to get this across the line. So we start with our generative. So that's the mapping, rock sampling, rock chips. And you can see that what we've done is there's numerous outcropping of all our veins across this broad area that we have. And what we do, we get these rock chip samples, we do some ground magnetics, and we're doing some aerial magnetics as we speak. But you can see we get some really good hits. That takes us over to doing a first pass drilling test on all these conceptual targets. And that's our discovery phase. So what we've done there is we found our Carey discovery, which was around shaft, the Albany shaft. And then we have latterly around shaft 3 discovered the Tyson discovery. So you can see some of the hits there. Around Carey, 20 metres at 5.3, 13 metres at 2, 16.5 at 2, 6.5, and it goes on. From Tyson, really interesting grades there, 2.8 at nearly 18, 1 metre at 30, and it goes on. So all of this is outside of our current resource. So that provides us with the next phase, which is the resource growth, which is what we're all about ultimately. So we want to upgrade that 1.7 million ounces. We'll do that in the 2nd or 3rd week of January. And we'd be very surprised if we can't see a 2 in front of that number as an upgrade. So you've seen that the Carey and the assays from Carey, the assays from Tyson, they'll only build on that resource, which I'm pretty excited about. So how is that? So what you'll see here is you can see the near mine exploration. You can see in the black there, the new discovery at Tyson, the 3 high grade, high grade veins I took you through. So in the bottom box, that's shaft 1 area. The middle box is the shaft 3 area where we got the Tyson, and the Albany shaft to the north is where the Carey discovery was. Let me just take you through that Carey discovery on the right-hand side there. So you can see some of that recent AUT drilling alongside the historical drilling. And all that's really telling you is we are replicating some of those high-grade hits that historically they had got. So I'm pretty happy that we've got a lot to chase here. So that's around the 3.8 kilometre drive, that area that we're around the historical shafts. But here we have a regional exploration. This is exciting, right? So what you see here is the 3 shear zones, the East Pat shear, the Tarp Lake shear, the Kyle-MacArthur shear. And we've been focused on that core mine shear, which is the bottom shear, which goes through our property. You can see there. And you can see number 1, 3 in the Albany shaft. And that's what we've got out of that. 1.7 million ounces of resource and historical production of 1.5 million ounces. This is what we'll chase. This is on top of what you've already seen around that small area, around 1, 3 in the Albany. You can see, look at the Tarp Lake shear, 4.6 metres at 7, 77 metres below surface, 36 metres at 1.5, 158 metres. Interestingly, you'll see Springer to the bottom right-hand side of the slide. That's 1.7 metres at 36 grams per tonne, 15 metres from surface. Never followed up. F veins similarly, never followed up. That's where we have rigs as we speak. So watch this space. It's really interesting.
Ray, I think I was just speaking of rigs. I did have a question here. An additional rig is due to come online later this month. Where will it be focused? I think just while you were talking about rigs there, where are you going to focus that additional rig?
Yeah, good question. So what we'll do, that'll probably be focused around the regional area, particularly Springer shaft. But I'd like to think that we might wander out towards the Tarp Lake shear around that area that I showed in that previous slide. So I'll just show you here. So around Tarp Lake and those sorts of areas. We've got some rock chip sampling going on as we speak now. We've got geos out there, but obviously what we want to do is follow up those amazing gets, even the MacArthur shear, right? You've got to say you'd have to follow 14 metres at, from 30 metres of below surface, never followed up. All of these things need to be followed up, and that's what we'll be focused with. But at the same time, that's why having a healthy balance sheet for a junior is so fabulous, because I can focus along that 3.8 kilometre shear around the old head frame, but I can also spend about a third of our drilling campaign out in the regional areas to further boost the productivity of our resource. So this is our forward work plan. We've further approved that 50,000 metres. We'll go from 4 rigs to 6 rigs. We'll have 2 dedicated to regional and conceptual explorations. That's that third that I talk about. Well, the resource update. We had our mid-year resource update. So what we've tried to do is to say, we'll give you a resource update on as at the 30th of June and as at the 31st of December, unless something spectacular comes in. But that's to give the market some idea of what to head for. So you'll get something from us in July about the previous 6 months. You'll get something from us in January about the previous 6 months, from June 30 to December 31. And then
1 minute left, Ray.
Okay, and there's the pathway to production. We're already anticipating success. So there, I just want you to take away these three things. We're in a great location. The asset just is an asset that keeps on giving. We've proven that upside, how quickly in 18 months we've taken from 0 million ounces to 1.7. And I've got a great team, a really, really good team. So thanks, Kerry.
Ray, thank you. If you'd like to ask a question, please put it down in the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom panel there. Ray, one more question here. What further action is required to receive the mining license? They're asking, is it environmental approvals, First Nation approvals? What hoops do you need to go through to get to that point? Or, this is my part of the question, we're not going there yet because we're still in the exploration and figuring out what the resource is looking like.
You've got it. I mean, that's it. I mean, it is getting a bit ahead of ourselves thinking about mining licenses, but don't forget we have those patented mining licenses out to 2067. All we have to do is update them to where we're actually planning to, actually drag this gold from. But we're anticipating success at the moment. So we've commenced all our advanced exploration permitting. We're in negotiation as we speak. So as we speak right now, Darren Cook is in Pickle Crow, and we're in about 10 hours time, he'll be hosting a fantastic barbecue with the Mishigogaman, our First Nations group. We have a great relationship with them. Don't forget, we already have an MOU with them, and we're moving that to an advanced exploration agreement. And that's 99% done. And, we should have that in the, COVID, willing, because they're very protective of COVID over there for the First Nations. So yeah, no, there is a lot of work to do, but we are preempting that by starting all of those high level activities right now to get us on that pathway to production. Okay. So rest assured, we will not get delayed by permitting.
Exactly. This is a question for me, Ray. Given Canada, great jurisdiction, would you look at also you list on the ASX clearly, would you look at listing on the TSXV as well?
Very good question again. Yes, we would, but not just yet. One of the things about it is we have North American investors, we have investors out of Hong Kong and the UK, and they have been saying to us, the natural home for this asset is surely is Canada. I don't know whether I'd dual list, Kerry. I think what we'd probably do is stay as we are at the moment. Next year, we get this resource up, we start getting some infill drilling happening, get some real value attached to it, and then we might look at that process of probably moving our jurisdiction listing to Canada. But it's a while away.
That's a while away yet, and there's still value for shareholders and future shareholders in what you're doing at the moment. Great grades that you're seeing there, Ray. Keep up the great work, and thank you so much for joining us at the NWR conference today.
And thank you to you, Kerry, and NWR.
Cheers, mate.